this for a fun ride. You don't expect that same level of risk.
No, and it just makes you think about the bravery of the test pilots. I mean, it's an awful thing for their friends and family, but it's admiration really for what they do, because somebody has to always test, be it planes or spacecraft, for the first time, and they must know that. And well, they're probably knowing most pilots. They probably don't even think about it, do they? It's just part of their job, isn't it? Yeah.
But Sheila, it shows what a distance we have to go from making space flight normal to making it routine.
Yeah, definitely. But like you said, it's been the same for flight. It was the same for ships. You know, when people were discovering Australia and America, and people die, unfortunately. But
did it work?
It's kind of the sacrifice that human beings have to make to explore further avenues.
And David, I suppose the key here is that the backers, the investors, the insurers, the regulators mustn't lose their nerve with these new projects.
Can't tell
Right.
from
I mean,
we're rolling it up.
So how deep are the investors' pockets? Are they going to keep
Oh dear.
to see it through? And I think, I agree. It is very sad that the pilot died. People will die on these missions. But again, it's about understanding those risks, and you should only be exposing yourself to those risks if you truly understand the risks that you're taking.
Well, if space tourism is a relatively small step, then the next giant leap for mankind could be a mission to Mars. So what's it going to be like for those first pioneers? To try and find out, the Mars Society has been operating a simulated Mars base in the desert in Utah, USA. Astronauts live there just as they would on Mars. They put on spacesuits when they go outside. I spoke to the current commander of the station, software engineer Digby Tarvin, just before he set off for life on Mars.
Our objective is to show a manned exploration of Mars is something which is possible, and we do have the technology to do it now if we have the will to pursue it.
And what do you do in the desert? You've got this base in the desert in Utah.
The habitat in Utah is constructed to represent the type of habitat that would be placed on Mars according to the Mars Direct mission profile. So it looks like the top part of a landed spaceship. It's a 2-story cylinder. What we do there is to try and perform real serious science under the strictures that would apply if you were really working in a hostile environment. The idea is to show that humans in that environment can work productively, effectively, and safely.
It's both as an individual, but also in terms of what we can learn about living, working.
It gives us a way to convince ourselves that people that say that this sort of mission wouldn't be practical and people wouldn't be able to survive in those conditions, that they're wrong, that we can. And a group of people who are sufficiently motivated can survive in relative isolation for long periods of time under what a lot of people consider fairly rudimentary conditions.
You said the technology, now we could do this now. Do you think that is going to happen?
The technology certainly does exist, and it has existed for some time. Bernard von Braun, at the end of the Apollo missions, he was all set to push on to Mars within 10 or 20 years. There is simply a lack of will on the part of government. Those that do explore the idea, they become a little over-ambitious and plan what Robert Zubrin in his book called a mission, which really does end up pushing the cost to the extent where the people who aren't so enthusiastic say, well, this is out of the question, we can't afford it. But if you're really keen and you use the technology that we have, it is possible. It certainly pushes technology to the limit, but maybe also than the Apollo era. And we achieved an awful lot then, and the only difference was that people were more motivated.
What about life in the habitat? How do you all get on? Do you have a command structure? Is it a bit like Star Trek, where you have a command, you're telling people what to do, or is it a more democratic structure? And have you learned about work? Working together in those sorts of environments?
It's certainly not a Star Trek-style military environment. It's a small group, all highly motivated, all very interested in what they're doing, and it really doesn't take any effort to manage them. Being the nominal commander is a privilege, but really, I'm sure most places would carry on without anybody having to take command. So just needs to be somebody keeps an eye on the schedule and the program and make sure that it attracts people from many varied backgrounds from all over the world. The main thing that we have in common is a passionate interest in science, spaceflight, and manned spaceflight in particular. We want to see this mankind progressing as far as it can, rather than just trying to make a more comfortable life.
Why on earth, though, do you want to go to Mars? This dusty, rusty, desolate, airless, bleak environment.
Well, you could look at it that way, but I think Mars and many other planets have a beauty of their own. Mars is the obvious first choice because it's the most accessible. Mars is a full-fledged planet which has the capacity, the resources to support in the long term.
No, I haven't played before. I've seen it.
To support in the long term a self-sustaining human colony. I think there's really nothing greater that we can aspire towards than to establish our first self-sufficient off-Earth colony, because at that point, mankind will really have achieved a sort of redundancy. We are far less likely to disappear. Once you have the second base, otherwise we'll always go down. The precautions we take, there'll always be some disaster that could really eliminate us from history.
I sobering thought from Mars Society Commander Digby Tarvin. I mean, I'm no great fan of living on Mars. I do not want to go to Mars. I think it was very clear from that interview that I think Mars is a pretty horrible place. And he does a point, though, doesn't he, about this being important for humanity. It could get wiped out tomorrow by an asteroid or whatever.
I think we need to Mars is an obvious choice. Obviously, in our solar system, if we can do it on Mars, and then we'll have the technology to go to other solar systems.
David?
Yeah, I think it was Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, the grandfather of spaceflight in the late 1800s, said Earth is the cradle of mankind, but man cannot live in the cradle forever. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we need to expand our wings, we need to move new places. It's all very inspirational stuff. I am very concerned that the first one is this apology. And that gives us a really very good idea.
Yeah, we've discussed that before, haven't we? And Richard's had first-hand experience of this because you've been to Antarctica several times, and it's normally, I believe, the chef who goes a bit mental.
There was an incident, yes. There was. Well, I mean, there has been an incident in recent years where pretty much a base rebelled against their headquarters. So, they were getting so fed up with being told what to do by people back in the home country. But, they were so far away and said, well, that's,
And
you
they're so
don't
isolated
understand.
as well. It's
the
the isolation,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So there are lessons you can take from Antarctica, but Mars is a whole...
I was trying to think of what it must be like. I mean, recently we were in Utah ourselves. Stunning, unbelievably stunning location, alien-like. You feel as if you're on another planet.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to live there.
I was just thinking, oh yeah, it was great. We popped into more leafy areas like Colorado and things like that. And you think, hold on, if I was just going to live in a little metal box in that environment all the time, that's tough, isn't it? Like you say, that's...
It's also very worrying to hear that the person with access to sharp knives is the person who touches
Yeah, the thing with Mars as well, the things that you can't plan for. For example, on Mars, the sky's red in the daytime, and when the sun sets, it goes blue, which is the opposite to Earth, and you can't plan for things like that.
Gosh, I never even thought of that. It's amazing. It does also remind me of Interstellar,
Yeah.
which has the same themes, the same thought about survival of the human race. So it's something that is a bit of a zeitgeist at the moment, isn't it? It makes and that's one of, I think, the pluses of the film, is that it doesn't make it too science fiction-y in a way, in that you see the hardships and the difficulties of long-haul travel and the effects of relativity with people back on Earth if you do travel close to the speed of light. And you don't come out of it thinking, I'd love to live on another planet. You come out of it thinking, whoa, as we've all said, space is hard. Space travel is hard. Colonisation will be hard. Well, thank you very much to our guest, Dave Wade from the Atrium Space Insurance Consortium, a company that has supported our podcast from the very beginning. Yay. And Sheila Kanani, space scientist at the Royal Astronautical Society. We're also supported by ABSL Space Products, and we're produced by Coffee Media in partnership with the Naked Scientist.
We've never done this before, but I would like to have a dedication here to one of our younger listeners, Rufus, and all our Twitter followers. We have more than 2,000, which is very exciting. Thanks very much for listening. I'm Richard Hollingham.
And I'm Sue Nelson. We'll be back in December with more from the Final Frontier. Thanks for listening, and we'll leave you with more from the latest internet musical sensation, sort of, the sounds made by Comet 67B.
Training to new heights with Fitness First and Qantas Frequent Flyer. For a limited time, earn up to 30,000 Qantas points when you join Fitness First. Use points on flights, upgrades, hotels, car hire and more. Let's put Fitness first and see where it takes you. T's and C's apply.
Any program about science or a scientist today is almost bound to focus on space.
Hello, it's Richard here with another Space Boffins, and can we just go around the room to check we're ready? That's the checklist from last week's launch of the first Orion spacecraft. Sue Nelson was there reporting for Space Boffins. In a moment. I'll also be talking to the head of the UK Space Agency after Europe's science ministers agreed funding for the International Space Station, a new rocket, and a mission to Mars. Plus, we meet the maker of the space station's new coffee machine. With me, author and science journalist Stuart Clark and science broadcaster and TV presenter Sarah Cruddas. Sarah, excited about Orion? Was it exciting?
That launch was absolutely incredible, and I think the fact we had the whole of the day before, it didn't quite manage to go, and then it went bang on time at the start of the window on Friday. Just incredible, and I hope it will maybe inspire a new generation the same way that Apollo did.
And Stuart, is that anticipation really helps, doesn't it, with space? That things don't... It helps, doesn't it, with space? That things don't quite go to plan, and you're just sitting on the edge of your seat.
Yes, it is like some kind of high-tech reality TV show. That you literally are on the edge of your seat. And with social media, you can interact with everybody else on Twitter and things like that, so you can feel the excitement that's coming along with these launches.
Well, Sue travelled to Cape Canaveral to take part in a NASA social, which is a gathering organised by the agency for a selected group of space fans. They've given better access than the world's media to the emotional rollercoaster of the first Orion launch. We join Sue on day one.
Well, about 15 minutes to go to the launch. I'm standing on the edge of a swamp. According to one of the social media people here today, there was an unexpected visitor on a recent launch.
They had an alligator come out of the water in front of where everyone was watching.
What happened?
Now they everyone kept watching the thing. He left us alone.
So the launch was more important.
Yes, the alligator just wanted to watch. Better be.
My name's Megan Groffman, here for the NASA social event.
Where are you from, mate?
From St. Louis, Missouri.
I'm Matt Bradley, also from St. Louis, Missouri, but I didn't know her before yesterday. And I'm here to see something really amazing.
But aren't you a little bit of a bad luck child?
In general terms, I'm a bad luck child, yeah. But are you talking about this specifically? Yes. This will be my 4th attempt at watching a launch, and hopefully my first real one.
So I can hear the wind on the microphone. Actually, it is picking up a bit, so we might be waiting a little bit longer.
We're all on internal power.
I know, I've had a coffee. And in fact, the wind and a rogue boat did indeed scrub the launch for 24 hours. But there were compensations. I saw the vehicle assembly building and also visited the booster fabrication facility. And it was there I met Brian Duffy, Vice President of ATK Aerospace Group, the company that builds and services NASA's solid rocket boosters. Brian is also an astronaut, having flown 4 shuttle missions, 2 as commander. And he was surrounded by multicolored booster parts.
The plan is for all of this hardware that you see here, and by the way, all of it has flown in the space before on the space shuttle program and been recovered and refurbished. It's all going to be used again in support of the Space Launch System program, which is the next heavy lift launch capability that NASA is developing.
And the one behind you that's slightly conical shaped, they're all either green or a mustard yellow. This green one looks a bit battered, more than most.
Yeah, that piece of hardware there is actually one that I flew into space with. And so on my last flight, that was one, it's called an F-skirt, and it's the part of the motor that attaches to the launch platform. So it's where the rocket is held in place until launch. And so that was one of the F-skirts that I flew back in the year 2000.
So as someone who's flown in the space shuttle, and now you're seeing the next generation of spacecraft, the SLS, the Space Launch System, do you see this as a progression, or as almost a sort of, it does hark back to the Apollo era when you know that eventually the astronauts are going to come down with parachutes and splash down?
Yeah, we continue to build from one program to the next, and we've learned some things. Apollo, of course, went to the moon. That was their goal and came back. But we use a lot of the lessons learned from Apollo in the space shuttle program, where we assembled the International Space Station, and it's where we learn to live and work in space, which is going to be important if we're going longer distances in the future. So if we want to go to Mars someday, which we do, then we have a lot to learn, and we're in the process of learning that, and it's a stepwise process to do that.
So what for you is the most interesting aspect of Orion?
Having the ability for the U.S. to fly U.S. astronauts to space and into deep space. We haven't been beyond low Earth orbit since 1972. It's a long time, and we would like, Orion is the vehicle that will be able to carry people beyond low Earth orbit.
So hopefully this is the beginning of a new generation for NASA.
We'd like to think that the launch tomorrow is the first step to Mars.
Mars? Would you like to go to Mars? I would love to know Mars.
That was Sesame Street's Elmo talking to astronaut Ricky Arnold about the Orion launch at the Kennedy Space Center. Yes, I was there. And after another early night, it was time to drive to the NASA bus. Again. Well, I've arrived. I'm back in the car park a couple of miles away from the Cape Canaveral entrance. Let's get outside into the car park. And there are already, even though it's 4:30 in the morning, the car park is half full. Full moon up ahead, how above Cape Canaveral. And I'm going to join all the other NASA social members who are outside the bus, and we're ready to do it all again. And fingers crossed, this time there'll actually be a launch. Okay, I've arrived at the site. We're just a tad closer this time. You can see the launch pad lit up. It's an amazing site, actually, particularly because it's across the water. You see the waves lapping towards you, and as long as there's not an alligator coming up, I'll be happy. And I'm with one of the fellow NASA social team members. Introduce yourself and what you do, because you've got quite a cool job.
My name is Bobby Russell, and I run a nonprofit called Quest for Stars, and we go around to high schools and middle schools across the United States and bring high-altitude projects, science projects, to those schools. I'm also a pilot. I'm an aerobatic pilot with about 1,000 hours in flight, as well as I'm a suborbital spaceflight candidate and training.
Tell us about that, because you've bought a ticket.
Correct. I've had the good fortune of winning a Space Industry Award for my nonprofit work, which gave me a 2-for-1 coupon on a company called X-Corp, who has their Lynx suborbital rocket plane. So I've gone through the centrifuge and high-altitude training already, and I'm awaiting the build-out of the aircraft, or the spacecraft, so we can actually fly.
And how confident do you feel, considering the recent accident at Mojave?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up, because I was actually on the flight line in Mojave on October 31st, 2014, this last October, when the breakup of the spacecraft occurred. And it was, the only way I could put it, it was like watching Challenger live. And I was standing next to the Scale Composite and Virgin Galactic folks who, for quality assurance. So it was a bad day, but you realize through what I'm reaching for and what these team members are reaching for, it's a dangerous proposition, but it didn't faze me. I'm still ready to go, and I know they will get it right.
Sea reporting from Cape Canaveral. Oh, excitement! I was on the edge of my seat.
So brilliant. You really felt like you were there with her.
Yeah, I really wish I was there.
Did you draw straws to decide who went?
No, she put the effort in to get on that. They did an amazing exercise. All these space flights and these space people from across the country just got so close to the launch as well.
I think it's a great thing that NASA are doing. So when I was there for Atlantis, the final shuttle launch, we were there as journalists, and then literally on the press site, all the National Service team, they got to see all the access we do, the journalists, and tweeting it, and they're just reaching a new audience.
If I was going to be sensible about it, or cynical about it, what it gives NASA is on Twitter, for example, and most of us were following this, the space fans dominate Twitter. You get an overwhelmingly positive message on social media. Not there's no reason not to have a positive message, but actually that completely tranches all the traditional media on there. I mean, Stuart, do you find that? You live tweeted, you live blogged the Rosetta landing, for example, on the continent.
Yes, and I did the same. I did the same for the Orion launch day as well. And it is extraordinary because there's so much. The stream is whizzing round, like a fruit machine. You can't keep up with it. And so the important thing, I think, as a journalist, to keep in the back of your mind is that if this vocal minority, to try and get to the bottom of what this program is truly about and whether it can truly achieve these games.
Well, that's what I wanted to come on to, because you heard Rob Navius, the commentator on that launch there, talk about a new era of American space. Is it really?
It is, in the sense that they have to build, NASA has to build a new capsule to get their astronauts into space. Because at the moment they're gambling on the private companies to build rockets to take astronauts to the International Space Station. So they're developing a larger capsule with space capacity. So it is a new era. Whether that's a good enough era or whether it's going to prove to be more faltering steps depends on political will and inevitably money.
There is this issue, isn't there, of the political will in America. NASA wants to do this stuff. In fact, the line completely from the Orion launch was stepping stone to Mars, stepping stone to Mars. They couldn't, even Elmo talking about Mars. They couldn't say Mars. But that's not funded, is it?
I just think it's promised a long-term goal. When we had Apollo happening in the 1960s, it was still a short-term goal. Yes, you've had different governments during that period. The whole country was behind you. You had small-town America, places like Bell Aerospace, building these rockets, all working towards one goal. And I think the thing is, with Mars, it's still long-term. It's not going to happen within the next decade. I mean, you're looking at least the 2030s, and you've got to have the behind it, you've got to have political will in this, and you've got to get people behind it. I hope it happens. It will happen. I think things will eventually happen, but whether it happens within our lifetime is still to be seen.
Do you worry, Stuart, that actually there isn't the momentum here to take this on? Because if you're looking at the timeline for this, I mean, this is fantastic. I don't want to give the wrong impression, but the first crewed mission, I think it's looking about 2020 or 21. The rocket, because the rocket we saw there is not crew rated, you couldn't put people on that. That's not going to be tested until 2018. So actually, maintain the momentum is going to be tricky.
I think it's going to be extremely tricky, and it comes down to money. So NASA say they need X amount of dollars to build this system, and they're told that they can have this much every year, about $3 billion a year. And for that, they can build this new rocket space launch system. They can build the full crew capsule and test it. And then that's it. That's where that's actually where they've gone to. Finding a mission that this can then go on to do that doesn't need another huge amount of money, because you need more hardware to go to Mars. If you're going to go to the lunar surface, for example, again, you need more hardware. So are there missions that can be done with astronauts into lunar orbit and things like that? It could be a very, very long time before we go to Mars.
So we need a vision. So
I think we do. I think the problem is we haven't got that same momentum. Going to the moon has always been about politics. You look at China, they want to send a human to the moon within a decade. And it's about politics. It's about saying, look, we can do a big thing well, come and join our country. We haven't got that vision at the moment. We've more got an idea. And I think it was really interesting with the Orion mission, actually. Had Elmo involved and had a Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil on the Earth in space. And yes, it's a little bit gimmicky, but it captures young people's imagination. I think that's one of the things NASA needs to do, is invest in the next generation, get them interested, get them behind it. Maybe an asteroid. I mean, we don't know much about how many asteroids are out there. That could potentially hit Earth, and maybe it's more likely we'll go to an asteroid and have people behind that instead of going back to the moon.
Well, we'll talk more about relative American and European funding as we go on. This is a Space Boffins podcast in partnership with The Naked Scientists. You can reach us on Twitter, Facebook, and on our blog at spaceboffins.com. You can also read the space column on BBC Future. Meanwhile, in Luxembourg,
we succeeded in raising altogether some 5.7 billion euros in order to assure the different ESA programs for the years to come. So the good news is that the future of ESA programs is guaranteed.
The European Space Agency ministerial meeting, Deputy Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Etienne Snyder, celebrating after science ministers and member states agreed space priorities for the next few years. And well, he's right to celebrate. The ministers pledged to build a new rocket.
Welcome to the most boring channel on YouTube, and on Twitch, and on Kick.
What's also more exciting from the perspective here in the UK is that Britain contributed to the 2018 ExoMars campaigns. The rover will be built in the UK, and 49 million to the space station program. I suggested to the head of the UK Space Agency, David Parker, that even a few years ago, the idea of Britain backing a human spaceflight would have been laughable.
We've got a long way in our thinking about all of our UK space policy, joining up the picture that goes from
basic science through commercial settings applications. And the involvement in the space station is a case in point because we've built a relationship with the research councils in the UK. Our participation in the programme for good science, but we're also going to deliver some really great technology onto the project. So communications terminal for the space station will vastly improve the data downlink to the station.
And what will the contribution to the space station mean for the UK, both for the research community, but maybe for the future astronaut programmes, for example?
Well, it particularly means for research community they can lead proposals for experiments in the space station as part of the benefit of being fully part of the programme. It means that Tim Big's mission is going to happen when we're still a full member of the space station program. And it allows us to think about the options for the future. One of the other things that ministerial was a so-called resolution about the space station and exploration, which is not about the money, but about the sense of direction. And it clearly says that there are three elements of our European exploration strategy: the ISS, the Moon, and Mars. And so it gives us the option to think about what comes next.
Does this suggest there might be an astronaut beyond Tim Peake with UK back?
I think it's far too early to say. I mean, that's unlikely to happen in the next period. I don't believe there's another selection process for astronauts. But of course, it doesn't stop Tim Peake maybe having a second flight sometime in the future.
And what about the future of the International Space Station? I was slightly confused watching the press conference, whether it had been funded to 2017 or funded to 2020. There seemed to be talk about it's going to continue to 2020 with European backing, but that wasn't entirely clear.
Strictly correct. What has been approved is the funding for the next 3 years. So most member states put their money down for the next 3 years. The resolution calls for continuation in 2020. In the particular case of the UK, we've made our contribution.
It's all quite exciting, isn't it? I mean, are we at a point where you can say, well, the UK is a key player in this, and Europe is really going places in space, particularly after Rosetta, where it caught people by surprise. It was like a European mission.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. I think Rosetta was a wonderful moment. Look, I worked on that project 20 years ago. I started the early design of it, the propulsion system aboard it is something I worked on way back when. So we all knew this was going to be a fantastic achievement. But I think also ESA did a brilliant job in explaining to the general public that the suites, Rosetta and Philae talking to each other, and the little movies they made, the animations, and then that spectacular kind of sci-fi ambition they did. They've moved up the presentation of space missions to the 21st century. And I think that's took people by surprise, maybe, but why not? We're really good at this stuff.
And what about the UK in space? Certainly the next 12 months are looking exciting.
The next 12 months are definitely going to be exciting. Obviously, we're a year away from the launch of Tim Peake on the International Space Station. That will galvanise attention to space activities. I hope on the research that people do, and I hope on the technology. But I can think of many other exciting things. Look, the huge European Copernicus Earth observation program, that's a whole fleet of satellites to monitor the environment and provide security in the event of disasters. We're going to see their data for those satellites starting to come down right into the UK Space Gateway in Harlow. Literally, there's a background at the end of the road there. We've got the European Space Agency Centre in Harlow will open in June 2015, and so all our investments in commercial satellites are going to go through that centre. We've got exciting projects, new, small, innovative telecom satellite projects. So yes, there's going to be another busy year.
But the space station's definitely up there, definitely something the UK is now embracing, even though when I spoke to one of your predecessors about it, they described it as an orbiting white elephant.
It's the biggest scientific laboratory project that the world's ever put together. Now that it's there, getting maximum value out of it makes economic sense, it makes scientific sense. We have to prove its value. Let's see the quality of the work that's done. So we're always cautiously sceptical, but we're open to the benefits.
Cautiously sceptical, Director General of the UK Space Agency, David Parker. Now, I mean, Stuart, skeptics, even cautious skeptics might suggest that this thing has been built, other people have built it, other people have paid for it, other people have launched it, other people have got the thing working, and now Britain gets in at the last minute and gets the benefit. So is that fair?
Well, that is it, Richard. I think that they will have been in there from the very beginning. Always been here in this country, coming up against the brick wall of politics. Finally, that's been very well. It's true that the space sector can make a real difference to the UK economy and to people's lives. And as David said, joining up that chain of events from the pure blue skies thinking and scientific research, and seeing how that works.
If you're making comments on Kick, I've got to look at the phone to follow it. So come over to Twitch or YouTube and I can see it easier there. My throat's all raspy because today while at work, this dude lit a whole of incense. Those little incense cones, and it was like, man, my throat hurt. So I'm all rusty. I sound really crappy.
It took off and it started way back in January at Wake Up Rosetta Day. And I covered that again. I couldn't sleep that night. I was just so excited because I was just thinking about what had actually happened. This mission built in Europe, masterminded in Europe, had woken up and done all these things completely automatically on its own, found its position in space, found Earth, and sent a signal back saying, I'm here, I'm ready to work. And then we had the Philae landing, which was even better.
And as Sarah says, it does show that it doesn't have to be human exploration, so that grabs people's imagination, gets people's attention.
No, absolutely not. You see, right from the very beginnings of the scientific revolution, the first telescopes, the first first microscopes, we've been used to technology extending our senses, and this is just exactly the same. The difference is that now we can access it directly and instantaneously on the internet. We can look at the comet through robotic eyes as if we were there.
What about the future of the International Space Station? It seems that there's pretty much an agreement from everyone now, Russia, America, Europe, to fund it until 2020. But not beyond that. I mean, that's only 5 years away. What do you think is likely to happen?
I think we need to link this up with the first story that we were talking about, because the first astronauts, that's the earliest, the first astronauts could be sent on an Orion mission is about 2021. And if you were to take all of the money that was being put into the International Space Station and then plough that into the extension of the Orion mission, then that's perhaps how you get back to the moon and onto Mars.
So you abandon the space station and go to Orion instead, rather than use the space station as a staging post or part of the Orion program?
Yes, absolutely. And I think we will sell off the space station and sell it to private industry for scientific exploitation.
And Sarah, what do you think?
I think that's a really good idea, actually. So I just think it's a shame, though, beyond 2020, people aren't using the International Space Station, because it always feels like the case, certainly with manned exploration, that we go and we do some things, we go to the moon, then we stop, then we try something else, and we stop, and we never really fully carry on. And surely use the space station as a stepping stone to get back to the moon, to get to an asteroid, and keep it going. Don't just stop in the year 2020. It'd be interesting to see what happens, and obviously money is going to play a big part in that.
Well, let's stick with the space station and think of the worst deprivations astronauts face during 6 months in orbit. The cramped conditions, no showers, freeze-dried rations. No, it is, of course, the lack of proper coffee. Well, in April, that is due to change. Space Boffin's regular Kate Arcus-Gray, who blogs as Space Kate, was at the recent International Astronautical Congress in Toronto. And there she spoke to David Arvina from Target, inventors of the espresso machine.
There was something missing on the station. And what was really missing, right after also getting information from different Italian astronauts, what they were very much missing was a real Italian espresso. So we started working on this machine some time ago, I can say a couple of years ago, on this project. And finally we found another partner, an important partner, that's Lavazza, because they are coffee makers, so they know very well their business. At the same time, together with the Italian Space Agency, we found the opportunity to having this technology demonstration payload to fly on the station in April 2015. It was a really big project, let me say, because putting on orbit a machine that has to brew coffee in a safety environment, to bring a really good coffee, you require 2 parameters. So the temperature for coming out the coffee is at 75 degrees, and the bars, so the pressure. And the pressure is roughly 6, between 5 and 8 bars. These are 2 major hazards for the station. So that's why it was a simple project to bring coffee on the station, but it was very, very hard to make it working.
And what's so special about espresso? I mean, you can brew a normal cup of coffee on the space station. Why would it be technically difficult to make an espresso instead of a normal instant coffee?
Let me say that on the station there is no espresso, so you can only make instant coffee, getting some water, pretty much all water, and putting inside a box inside the bag. This is something that they have on the station, but of course making a different coffee, a different Italian flavor espresso coffee on the station would have been totally different hazard, a totally different, different thing for the astronauts. And I can tell you they very much appreciate it. How they will appreciate also in the future, whenever the machine will be on the station, they got a lot of different astronauts asking, hey, when is going to fly the machine?
So in the exhibition hall here, you actually have a model. Is that a fully working model? It's quite big.
Yeah, that's quite big. It's a 1:1 scale, so it's the same resolution. It's quite big. That's a good question. It is quite big because, of course, as I told you before, if you have pressure, fluids and pressure and temperature, this is a big hazard for the station. So we had to, all the systems that should have been redundant. So to us, as an example, pressure sensors, pressure switches, etc., thermal sensors and switches that you have to put at least 2, because in case one fails, you need to have another one working properly, just to avoid having specific reasons. So that's why. And the other stuff, having a home espresso coffee machine here on Earth is totally different, because whenever there is any spill of water, this spill of water, thanks to the gravity, will come down in a small box, and everything will be collected there. This is almost impossible for the station, because otherwise the fluid will flow around and can also damage the system of the station. So that's why we hard worked on a system for avoiding that, preventing the spill of water.
David Arvino from Architect speaking to Kate Arcus-Gray on the challenges of making decent coffee in space. Stuart was shaking his head sadly during that. What bothers you about that, Stuart?
I think, to be honest, I think it was one of the bravest pieces of journalism I've ever heard, because he actually asked an Italian whether there was a difference. Espresso. I know this story. Yeah. I know the interesting thing is, I happened to be in Italy last week, and they haven't heard this story at all. No, not at all. And my other favourite fact about this space espresso machine is that it weighs 20 kilograms, and that is almost precisely the same amount of weight as the payload on Philae. All the science instruments weighed the same.
Anything so land on a comment or make an espresso machine is what you're
Yeah. Surely when you're in space you can't taste anything anyhow. Tasteless.
Maybe that's another reason, because you do need proper flavours.
Yeah, it's the strength of it.
And so maybe the strength of it is proper coffee. But yeah, I mean, Italian astronauts and instant coffee. Italian astronauts and instant coffee, I think that's where they're coming from. machine is being flown to the ISS. It's actually going to be flown, or due to be flown in April 2015, and the aim is to have it working for astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti's birthday, which is on the 26th of April. Isn't that nice? As you get a birthday espresso. Okay, luxuries in space question. If you had to take one luxury to the International Space Station, let's say it weigh around 1 kilos, what would you take, Stuart?
Oh, my guitar. Easy. The rest of the astronauts would hate me for it.
I think there is actually a guitar.
Is it an electric
No,
guitar?
it's almost certainly not an electric guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sarah?
Mine, I guess it'd be music again. Get some 80s tunes going, the driving tunes.
It's funny you should say that. I was thinking would be really cool would be a zero gravity record. The vinyl, you take vinyl, take my 80s vinyl collection. You'd have to do some sort of bungee cord and string arrangement to get a record.
Spin the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you'd really want one of those rotating space stations, then you can play your records properly. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, but I think, vinyl records in space. Any particular music you take?
Just, I think everything from Prince to Journey, anything which is through power ballads. I think that'd be quite
Ballads, sounds good to me.
Yeah, and the camera, of course, to take even more pictures.
Okay, well, before we go, what's fast becoming a regular dedication slot? I just want to mention Bill, who listens to Space Pop in Studios, LA News, everyone who's seen Meta in Association, and Michael. Question. Hi. I recently discovered the following that's us. I have a question about space flights. Both companies, in the short term, offer straight up and down rides and not point-to-point travel. If one day point-to-point services are offered, is there any advantage of taking off from nearer the equator and travelling from west to east to use Earth's spin to reduce travel time? Stuart?
Oh, that comes straight to me, doesn't it? Well, certainly there's an advantage for rockets taking off closer to the equator because of the centrifugal force that they get. So in that sense, then you would imagine that there's an advantage as well for space planes, but they're completely different because their lift is generated aerodynamically. And so that's a very sort of long-winded way of saying I don't know.
Sarah, any
I
thoughts?
would think surely going that way would save on time for the Earth spinning, but if you're in the equator, you're travelling further distance. If you're further north on the Earth, it would surely be a less distance to travel.
I think we need to throw this out to listeners as well, because actually I was thinking, I can see where he's coming from, because he's thinking spaceplane goes up, Earth moves underneath, spaceplane comes down, so the Earth's effectively moved to help us. But I'm not sure that actually works like that.
But you're going so fast as well, I don't think it's going to make...
And for not very long,
Yeah.
Okay, if you've got any thoughts, then do drop us a line on our Facebook page. Thank you very much to Stuart Clark and Sarah Cross for joining us. The Space Boffins podcast is a Boffin Media Productions, sponsored by the Atrium Space Insurance Consortium and ABSL Space Products. And I think we can all look forward to what's going to be a very exciting 2015 in space. Thanks for listening.
Authorised by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Canberra. The census is coming this August, and we need to hear from everyone to help plan for Australia's future. People from every walk of life. You'll get instructions soon on what to do. For more information, visit census.abs.gov.au.
Any program about science or a scientist today is almost bound to focus on space.
Welcome to Space Boffins with Richard Hollingham and C. Nelson. We're in partnership with the Naked Scientists, and in keeping with current trends, we're going to call this podcast 1 of 12. It's a thing, apparently.
Which means I then have to say for our first number 1 of 2015.
This is a crude thing
Yes,
you're introducing.
because I'm certainly not calling it number 2 next month. We'll be hearing how a mission to map the galaxy is getting on, and how very soon we'll be able to get an astronaut's eye view from the International Space Station.
You're seeing what we call the Superman view. You're seeing this 50-kilometer swath as the space station flies on the ground. You're seeing these high resolution videos that they target in on a small urban area or something else. And the point is, it'll be just available to the public.
We're joined by one of the leaders of Europe's 2018 rover mission to Mars, Professor Andrew Coates from University College London's Mullard Space Science Laboratory, and a welcome return to a guest from our very first Space Boffins podcast back in July 2011. Please welcome BBC Science Correspondent Jonathan Amos.
Well, the last time you and I met, John, was only last month at Cape Canaveral for the Orion launch. Any particular missions you're looking forward to this year?
Oh, I have unfinished business this year, Comet 67P. Business this year, Comet 67P with Rosetta, which is just going to get more exciting. The highlight for me, I think, this year is going to come in July, when New Horizons goes past Pluto. Can't wait for that.
We'll be talking about both those later on. And then 4 years from now, from January, the European Space Agency will be hoping for something like this. That was NASA's 2013 landing on Mars. Now, ESA aims to land its ExoMars rover in January 2019. Andrew Coates will those cheers. Well, they'll probably be more sort of European, won't it? They'll all sort of shuffle around and look at monitors and stuff and be lots of champagne.
Very excited as well. Full Philae landing, absolutely fantastic. Down the Operation Centre, but of course we're looking forward to our own mission in 2019 landing on Mars. Fantastic.
Now, this includes the first rover to be sent to Mars specifically to search for life, not just the signs of life, but actually to look for life.
Yes, it'll look for signs of life in the environment. But yes, it will be instrumented to look for carbonates and things like that, to look for chirality as well.
Chirality?
That's right.
I knew that one, yeah.
Hydrocarbons, and so it will be able to do that. The key new thing about the ExoMars rover is it can drill underneath the surface of Mars up to 2 meters. So nothing has done that before. Curiosity can drill up to 5 centimeters under the surface and it's made some fabulous discoveries doing it. But we'll
be able to go below the oxidized surface and the sort of harsh environment which there is on the surface to look for signs of life underneath that surface. That's where you should look for life on Mars.
So 2 meters is a crucial depth, is it?
2 meters is as good as we can do, with the current technology. But there are some crucial aspects about it. We did some calculations a few years ago looking at the radiation environment on the surface of Mars, because that's one of the things, of course, over time, which will affect possible life underneath the surface. And so 2 meters is a good distance to be going. Ideally more than that, but actually 1 to 2 meters should be.
John, we should say ExoMars has gone up and down over the last few years, and it's actually 2 missions rather than one. So 2016 and 2018.
They always end on a cliffhanger, which usually means is it going to continue, but somehow they find money to continue with it. Yeah, and it started out as a small demonstration mission, I think. 2005, was it?
Yeah, well, we built it 2004, yes, it's very soon after.
And then people got grand ideas for it, and then it got too big. Grand ideas for it, and then it got too big, and then they had to find a different rocket. And then the Americans came on board, and they went, maybe not, and they disappeared. And then the Russians are back on side now. It's just up and down. It's been split into 2 missions. Yeah, there's an orbit that's going 2016, which will do some very interesting atmospheric science, but also be the communications relay for the rover when it gets down in 2019. I should say just about this drilling thing, I think one of the big lessons we learned from Curiosity is that if you pick the right place, you don't have to go too deep to find potentially some very interesting chemistry. I think that's been one of the big lessons from MSL Mars Science is that if you find surfaces that have recently eroded, you know where to look, then you may not have to go down 2 meters to find some very, very interesting things.
So are you looking at, like Curiosity, Andrew, at places that were perhaps wet?
Yes, so actually the landing site selection meeting just before Christmas, and we're down to 4 sites now. So 2 of those involve clays on the surface, which are signs of hydrated minerals on the surface. The other 2 involve rivers, old river valleys and deltas and things like that, which were on the surface. There are no rivers now, but these are dried up evidence of rivers being there. And so the possibility of life there is great. So all 4 of those sites, actually, if cells were transported there, they would have survived. So these are great places to look.
We're going to Mars, Alice. That's where we're going.
Necessarily, because there are engineering constraints. It would be great if, of course, the Welsh for Mars people, but which I can't pronounce. But anyway, that's one of the great spots. And of course, that's one of the places with the clays, or phyllosilicates, as they're called. But there are 3 other possibilities as well. We're studying all of them. All of them have really good possibilities for doing experiments.
It's going to be tough to get down, I have to say. I mean, you've got to go quite deep into the atmosphere in order to break. You've got to avoid dusty places because dust plays havoc with everything, as we've seen with previous missions. And you're very constrained around the equator as well because of solar panels that we have on ExoMars. So there are actually not that many places that we can do. But once you then sort of factor in where the interesting science places, you're quite restricted.
Yeah, so the first workshop we had last year was doing exactly that, putting the engineering constraints and the science constraints together. You come maybe to about 10 sites, but of which these 4 would be great. But Mars is just on the edge of what is achievable technologically with the landing, because it's Europe and Russia working together with the Russians doing the landing system. So it's going to be a fantastic landing on Mars.
Mars Alice.
Now, the rover's being built in the UK, and you, Andrew, are responsible for the camera on the actual rover. It looks a little bit like the handlebars of a scooter, I think, where the at either end of the handle.
If you imagine that at about the height of a person above the surface, but the eyes, the eyes are separated more than human eyes are by 50 centimeters, so we can get actually better stereo reconstruction. We also, on each of those, we have 11 filters to look at different wavelengths, different colours of light, and putting that together, we can do a good job on the mineralogy, in particular, looking for the water-bearing minerals. And so it will be the best scientific camera to have been taken to Mars to actually do that job. So in terms of getting the context for the rover missions, there are other instruments for context as well, and then the drilling is the most interesting.
You mentioned this context. I read that saying that scientists are looking for textual information on the rocks, which sounded a very sort of arty-farty way of saying something basic. So what do you actually mean by textual information?
Yeah, well, if you imagine the 3D reconstruction, if you look at the shape of the surface, the shape of the rocks and so on, we have a high-resolution camera on board as well as the wide-angle cameras. The thing which can lay over the top and give you the texture. So it's like the sort of graininess of the rock, the sort of size of the different constructions.
So it's like the surface, whether it's pitted or rough to the touch, you'll be able to tell.
Yeah, rough and also different colours. Most of Mars is covered by dust, but no less much, so a bit under outcrops and things like that. One could look for different colours of rocks. And so looking for those, that's something we'll be able to do with PACAM. We've also packed atmospheric science into it as well, so we can look at water in the atmosphere of Mars, where we are on the surface and the sun. So that will tell us how much water is in the atmosphere. So all of that gives us a great context in terms of geology, the atmosphere. We'll also be able to look at dust levels and things like that passing on the surface. Imagine that on Mars, just wonderful.
Well, congratulations. I know it's been an immensely long way. Do you think this is the mission worth waiting for, John?
Well, it certainly is, and I've waited for it a long time. But let's talk about something really exciting, which is data policies. Okay, so one of the disappointments I think the last year with Rosetta and Comet 67P has been the absence of imagery from the main scientific cameras on spacecraft. I'm talking here about the Osiris camera system now. Why was that? It's because the scientists there want some privacy, some priority minority making the discoveries from it. So we've had very, very few images from Osiris. Contrast that with Curiosity now, which, I mean, I wake up every morning and I can see new pictures from Mars downloaded overnight. And if you're mad like me, you even put them on your iPhone and you can stitch them together to making panoramas. So the question I have for Andrew is, what are your data policies going to be when you arrive at Mars in 2020? How are you going to approach that problem?
Yeah, this is a combination of what ESA wants. So in the site management plan of the project, there's 6 months exclusion time. From our point of view, we want to be as open as possible with the data, but there are limits. And so what we might be able to do, for example, is to put JPEG type which is not the complete resolution of the data, but highly compressed images on for people to be able to look at the position. And also release some of the detailed images as well. So as far as I'm concerned, we want to be as open as possible within the data.
Is this about the egos of scientists over the importance of the mission, which essentially we've all paid for as taxpayers?
Well, science, of course, is being done behind the scenes anyway. So
but they want their name, don't they? They want their name on the ledger paper or the science paper. But is that what it's about?
And there is there's always a problem about science and nature and putting that stuff in there with the embargoes and so on. So putting data out which could write a science paper for you is one has to be careful with that. But yes, the egos do come into it. I mean, we did have a science team meeting just before the other meeting, the science selection meeting. We discussed exactly this issue, and so amongst the PanCam team, we're formulating the policy at the moment. As far as I'm concerned, being open, I fully agree about taxpayers having paid for this. And, we want to share what we're doing, the excitement of actually the exploration. I think one way of doing that is to have images, so at least some perspective.
I mean, to be fair to the Osiris team, I mean, they're neck deep in running a mission. So they're under enormous pressure to help the rest of the instrument teams, getting them the information they need to give them the context for their data, whilst trying to write up some papers as well. And, if you just dump the information out there, which anybody can then go in and pull something out, you may miss, that extraordinary discovery. And if you've put 10, 20 years into the mission, sounds a little bit unfair. There is an alternative model, which is that we pay for it, it goes out there, and somehow that will supercharge discovery, because then you have everybody diving in to pull out as much as you can. But it then needs recognition for the people who developed that mission and led that instrument. So,
there's a lot of work that goes into this, the calibration of it to make sure it's giving you the right information, so the right colours and all that. There's lots of calibration work. There's lots of work behind the scenes. And the other thing is, images are obviously more understandable than the other types of data which come from other instruments on Rosetta, for example, one 3-year-old with which is as immediately understandable by the public. So that's a distinction.
Who's got two viewers? I just don't swear you don't listen. Fuck shoot me. Well, it's high strap on. Yeah. Stop it. He's on. Let's spend those emotes. Yeah, you do. You just start counting. Really screws with it. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't do that.
6, 5. 78, 103. 74. He's losing it.
Don't random count on me.
Up, down, 1, 2. Up, down, 74. Up, down, 1, 7. I used to hate me when I was counting, they'd yell a number, I'd be like, you can just say the number to 5. I just counted 1,000 things. I can hear your voice going up. One voice. And it's true.
Yeah. I turned the volume up on the iPad so I can hear you guys. The worst thing would be a bingo parlour next to a gym.
It's a tog. It's a tog. I missed that. Make sure I tighten those bolts up so they don't fall off. So they're gonna fall off. See what happens. Massive difference.
That platform doesn't look stable.
Sorry, what from Tracker? That'll learn ya, you dude. Oh, we're gonna straighten the comeback as why not?
Is that the
I'm
cat?
sweaty, but it's not from the training session.
Oh, hello.
Find out why on lovescape.ai.
The ads on your stream are saucy. I don't like it. No. Don't want to lock it in. No. Early entry. I don't want early entry. No. Ew.
Ouch. Oh, same thing every night. Go charge yourself during off-peak hours. Don't mind me.
Oh, this is
Just
a gear
going to
ad.
save you some money. Oh, BV3. Car of the year. Just get in the...
Stop charging.
Of course, you just do it automatically. Show off.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
Those behind there. Good shot.
Ow. Smacked myself in the back of the head on the last one of those.
Oh, sorry.
Ow.
Oh, how's that a miss?
Oof.
How's that a miss? How's that a miss? Hands are gonna harden. Did you miss? I think you did.
I won't be going anywhere. Now, all I have... Now, mine, I don't have the time to go to the fucking point because of the P36 right there. You can fucking either. I'm out.
Alright, try and kill these two yak 9s. I don't think it's gonna work, but we're gonna give it a go. Got it, fancy aircraft with that. There's an Austin. Get him! Crash into the building. Someone get him, please. Oh, that's unfortunate. We just lost an aircraft. Flew him back to OEL. Company lads.
Oh, hey, Luba. How you going?
There's an aircraft in the kill.
How's your night going, Luba? I'll have to keep walking around my camera to see the chat because
It's still there, brothers.
I'm watching one of my friends stream on Twitch as well.
That's this guy still flying. It said severe damage. Come on.
Yeah, well, I'm not that young. I'm doing the upper body workout today. So arms, chest and back.
Straight to your 190. Why you fuck me? God damn. Big fisted. I've won this one. One game out of 4. How is that not good?
Sad boy, I guess Connor's not playing the same game you're playing.
Send that. Sorry, lost all 4 games. You've only lost 1.
Remember, the babies are the reason why I'm doing this now, so I can be around longer for them. Although sometimes I feel like kind of so drained all the time after working out. So I'm going to do post-workout recovery's got to be better.
It's right here, it's right here. Oh, fuck you. I'll come to cook to you in a second. Get those fish, chat. Get those fish. 17 seconds. Come on, someone. Grab this ridge. No. I'm out. It's a GG. G bloody G. Yes. Skink should be able to go in there. Realistic battles. Let's get it. I've got a jumbo. I'm going to load it with full ammo, and we're going to be an unstoppable machine. Just got to watch me.
Yeah. Gyms are expensive. There's one near my house that is $10 a session. Like $10, you pay if you're not like you have to be a member, but if you're a casual, you pay $10, and you can be there as long as you want in that time period. So I was thinking of signing up so that I can go there on like once a week to do the really heavy lifts that I can't do at home because it's just unsafe. But then if I I worked out as soon as I start going more than 2 times a week, it'd be better off having a membership. Or they had like a 10 visit pass or something like that. No, it might have been a 20 visit pass for like $150. So that was kind of a good idea or something like that as well. But then the actual monthly membership worked out to be cheap. Like you're going more than, if you're going at least 3 times a week, I think it was better to get a proper membership. But if you're only going to say once or twice a week, it was better just to have the casual membership. Alright.
Tank suit. Bubba, come with the spawn tank. Let's get it. How's Bubba doing today?
Hey Frankly, how you going? I'm streaming on Twitch, Kick, and Facebook. I mean YouTube.
Don't trust him. He kills
So, I've actually got YouTube here, but because I'm watching a friend of mine on Twitch at the moment as well.
Let me kill that.
Oh, and Children's Hospital. Well, I'm in Australia. It's about 7:30 p.m. here in Australia. So it's already dark outside, but
we're good here. No pens.
Sorry, sad boy. My chat's getting busy. I'm gonna switch over to mine. Yeah. I haven't punched cones for a long time. If my parents are watching, I should never punch cones. God. I reckon the last time I had was there anywhere near that was probably the late 90s. Oh man, thanks for the subscribe as well. So, are you on like the graveyard shift or something? So you like 10 to 8 or something like that? So yeah, I usually try to work out around this time. It's either working out or meal prep. Kind of boring stuff really. But have a good morning, I guess. And I might see you around. So 8 of these. Yeah, I reckon get a pull-up bar, Luba, Get one of those ones where you can put it in the door frame, and just try doing pull-ups. But don't worry about your English. My wife's Japanese. I've been going to Japan since the early 2000s, and I only speak enough Japanese to get myself in trouble. But you know, biru futatsu kudasai. 1 beer, please. Biru futatsu kudasai. 2 beers, please. You know, oki oppa ga suki desu. I like big boobs. So enough to get me in trouble, really. Not enough Japanese to get me out of trouble. Oh jeez, I just realised I got like lots of people watching now. Well, welcome. You mean like a pull-up bar? So 2 vertical sticks and one across the top, so you can pull yourself up. Yeah. So pull-ups are one of my bad ones because I don't know, what was it? 8 years ago, I had a client pull my arm, pull me down to the ground, and I tore the muscle from the bottom of my shoulder blade. So it's really hard to do pull-ups now. Hey. Yeah. Oh, somebody's got banned. What did they say that got them banned? Did they say anything before they got banned? Oh. The banning bot got them. Right. Yeah. my setup is very, very basic. I would like a rack or something like that. I just don't have the space for it, really. Don't have the space for it. And depending on how my kids are going in Japan at the moment, we might move to Japan. Might make the move to Japan permanent. So it's going to be just stuff that I have to get rid of then. I got so much stuff here, I can't take it all the way to Japan with me. So it might be that I have to get rid of all this at some point. Depending on how, as I said, depending on how the kids go in Japan, if they like it, they might want to move there. If my wife can find a job over there, but the biggest thing is trying to maintain the lifestyle we've got here over there. So, you know, we've both got really good jobs here, even though we've had redundancy breathing down our necks since before COVID. They just keep delaying it. You know, we've got a lifestyle here that we really enjoy, and it's not too fancy, but we get by, and the kids don't want for much. I mean, kids always want toys and things like that, but you know, they're never hungry. Well, they complain that they're hungry, but they don't want apples and bananas, they want lollies, so, and Skittles and that type of thing. So yeah, they'd say they're hungry, but all they really want is lollies. But you know, they never want for much. So they're going to a really good school here, but I mean they're going to a completely Japanese school in Japan at the moment. So it's mixed feelings about that. All right. I might have to move that. Scoot down a bit. The other thing is, if I go to Japan, I don't know what type of work I would do. Never went to uni, so I don't have a uni degree or anything like that. And a lot of employers in Japan want people to have uni degrees, so that kind of puts a big roadblock in things. And the two things I mainly do here is aid in disability care, and I work in theatre as well. So those are two jobs that I need to be very fluent in Japanese, and yeah, I'm not. So in my early 20s, I did, late teens, early 20s, did go to the gym quite a bit. I was along the bus route where I had to catch the bus, and I went through an interchange, and at the interchange was a gym. So I signed up to go there, and then I went for about 3 months, and they closed down for renovations, and then the renovations took longer than expected. I think by the time they reopened, I was no longer going to that school, so I was no longer getting the bus pass there, and so I bought this, and then, you know, and then work changing that, and this kind of sat in all this equipment just sat in my parents' garage. And then when we bought this house, obviously everything moved from my parents, all my junk moved from my parents' place to here. But it wasn't until like maybe 2019 where I really started to use it again. Lost a whole heap of weight, and then now I've just got the DadBod, gut that I want to try and get rid of. Get rid of the DadBod gut so that I'm around longer for the kids. Because I mean, I'm almost 50 and my eldest is 10 and my youngest is 3, so I want to be around for a bit longer. Oh. Well, 2 jobs, yeah, but they're both my main job. I've been doing for almost 20. Next year will be 20 years I've been at the job. It's aged disability care, but it's like it's client based, so I'm guaranteed at least 25 hours a week. So if they can't fill up my roster with 25 hours of work, then they've got to pay me for that 25 hours. But anything over 25 hours, they obviously get paid. My other job, which when you first jumped in the stream, and you heard the other stream, that's Sad Boy. I work with Sad Boy in the theatre, and so that's my other job, working in the theatre. That's the one I really like to do all the time, but it doesn't really work in too well with having kids and that. And I mean, it's more, it's based on the shows and things like that. And with all the shows here in Melbourne getting cancelled at the moment, it's hard to, it's hard to make it permanent. Yeah. So I think this is, like I said before, my voice is all messed up because one of the houses I went to today, the guy had all this incense burning, and it was like thick. It was like I was in a room full of smokers. Being hotboxed by incense. Loose again. This one always goes loose. I think the rubber's gone in it. Right. That was, yeah, 5. Right, now. Oh shit, alright. So that's 15. So 5, 6, 4. I think that's. Oh, pardon me. 5, 10, 11, 12, 12, 12, 40, 40 and a half, 15. Yeah, I think I like all the same things as well. Hey, sad boy, how you going? Yeah, sorry, I dropped out of your stream because mine started to take off a bit. So, plus I was getting people on YouTube chatting to me too. Well, welcome everybody who's joined us from Sad Boy. Performance enhancing chemicals. Can't say the D word, I don't think. Can I say the D word? I don't think so, no. Probably can't say the D word. What? Oh. What job's coming up? Because, oh, you can message me on Teams or something, but I got given a whole heap of tech swoop shifts. I got no idea what I'm doing for. Oh, and I got put on sound effects, for something. So I'm hoping it's as an extra because it sounds like I've been put on a choir thing. So I think one of the full timers is heading up sound, and I'm doing the rest for him. Yeah. All right. Let's hear it. So, oh, right, yes. Wait. What? Oh, so wait. So, what, has he gone up to one of the other secondment positions? Or is this the one that was made vacant ages ago and they just haven't filled? Oh, because so J and L went up, which left their spaces vacant. So is he gone up into one of their spots? And now we've got to. Was that what the other ones advertised? See, I'd really like to apply for one of those positions, but because I've still got this redundancy hanging over our heads, I'm like, kind of don't want to do it. Don't want to apply just yet so that I can hang out for the redundancy, because a couple more months and it's 20 years and I'll get a big redundancy bonus. I think I'm going to get one of those text-to-speech apps for Twitch. One of the other is Japanese Twitch streamer that I follow. He has it because he's working out, and when you comment, it reads the comment out for him or for you, or sorry, it reads the comment out for him so he can reply without having to keep looking at the screen. Yeah, no, definitely, because it's too hard using code words. I think I'm in Friday, so if you're in Friday and Saturday, I think I'm in. Because the new roster went out, so I'll talk to you in person then. Whoa. Whew, dizzy. So, well, I have part of my my job in agency disability care during COVID. We had to a lot of people were, because everyone was in lockdown and that type of stuff, we had to teach people how to use their phones to do FaceTime and things like that. And all these people would be fearful. They've got, their family get them smartphones. They don't know how to use it. Family don't show them how to use it because they get frustrated with them when they're trying to teach older people how to use technology. And so I'd go in and teach people how to use their iPhones and Samsung phones and things like that to do FaceTime and other things with their families. And the one thing I always try to get through to them was that you're not going to break it. Like touching the screen and moving things around, you're not going to break it. The worst thing you might do is delete something that you don't want to delete, and then it's gone forever. But unless you're hitting the phone with a hammer, you're not going to break it. So I think it's, get into trying to fix stuff. Because if it's already broken, you're not going to break it anymore, I don't think. I mean, you could. I suppose you could still break it more, but break it to the point where it can't be fixed. But if it's already broken, why not try fixing it? I mean, I've got a stereo behind here. Over our last summer we had, I left it on, powered on, because I usually just turn it on while I'm working out. But I accidentally left it on one of the hottest days, and the next time I came in to use it, it wouldn't work. Because I think like everyone keeps telling me one of the MOSFET chips is probably, I think it's called a MOSFET chip or something, is blown, and I don't know how to replace it. They said, oh, you just open it up and take the solder off and resolder on. I was like, I don't have those skills, but somebody might, and they might want the stereo. I mean, I don't have any devices that work with it anymore. Like the iPods and that used to sit on the 30-pin connector. I don't have any of those that work anymore. And you can't get the 30-pin adapter to Lightning, or you can't get a 30 pin to USB-C adapter for it. Wish you could. That'd save a whole heap of problems. You can't just tear the hard drive out and plug the hard drive into something else and take the photos off. I mean, I'm not any good at repairing things like that either, so I wouldn't probably dare try, because I'd be afraid that I'd wreck it. Yeah, I need to take there. What do I need? Yeah, I need that one, those two. Yeah, I splintered my toe. Ow. Oh. Fair enough. I suppose it would be a bit of a challenge, but like I said, I'm not good at that text, that type of tech stuff. So. Good. yeah, I think the routine, this is the thing that challenges me, I guess. It also, I think it also helps me clear my head. But the funny thing is, I've started to enjoy it more since I've been streaming while I do it too. And it's not so much that there's people to talk to. It just, I think it's more just makes me not think about other stuff, I guess. Like I was saying before about mental health, yeah. But I think the last couple of weeks since I got back from Japan, because the kids are in Japan still, I've had that time to, like, now would be the time where the kids are going to bed and that type of thing. And then once they're in bed, it's like 8, well, what is time now? It's 8:15, so I still wouldn't have started my workout yet. So being able to start a bit earlier has definitely made a difference. Plus I've been out here for almost 2 hours. How long have I been going for? An hour and a half. So that's a bit longer than usual. Because I've tossed in a few more exercises today. So, well, this is the last exercise I'm doing for the day. So the barbell rows. Probably the heaviest exercise for this session. I much prefer to do those as incline rows. So on a bench, but this bench doesn't give me the movement to do everything else is in the way. So if I had a bench by itself, like I do at the gym, I could go heavier because my chest is supported. I mean, it's hard to breathe. Like when you're lying on the bench doing this one, it's hard to breathe, but you can bloat up more weight, and it also stops your rocking, removes your lower back from the equation. But otherwise at home, I have to do it this way. Just means I can't go as heavy as I would at the gym. Okay. All right, see you later, Loba. I caught one of your streams the other day, but I was between jobs, so I just had it quiet. Just jumped on. I don't know, you're playing some shooting game. I didn't recognize it. But I should make more effort to comment while I'm in your stream. The box is over here. So in there, in those two boxes there, that's the Masters of the Universe board game that was on Kickstarter a few years ago. I got it. I I undid the box, opened the box, saw everything on top and went like, oh, okay, cool. I haven't opened it to go through it yet. I've got to still go through it. And I think the other box, there's another box there as well. That is another Kickstarter board game for Car Wars from Steve Jackson Games. I still haven't gone through it. This is a junk room. There's boxes everywhere. Over here, there's a couple of computer boxes. Behind the purple curtain, there's heaps of boxes and junk. You know, even up here, all the cans. So, pardon me. Oh, be yawn. Alright, one more set to go. And then that's it for the night. Actually, I haven't checked to see if anybody on Kick's been commenting for a while, but I seem to only get spam from Kick. Yeah, nothing on Kick. Oh well, no big loss. Kick seems just to be all spam lately. All right. Pardon me. Right. Last set, and then I'm done for the day. Anybody got any suggestions on an account we should raid next? Thank anybody who's still here from Sad Boy Stream. Thank you for joining me. Like I think I said earlier, boringest stream, just watching me grunt. It's not that entertaining, really. That was the last set. So we'll have a look at. All right. So what do we do here? Oh. Yeah, look at that. All right. So let's review what we did today. So a couple of for stretching and that, tricep stretch, crab pose, neck stretch, forward and backwards arm circles, wall slide stretch, and then some mini loop band exercises with kneeling rows, kneeling bicep curls and tricep press, and then into the weighted exercises. So incline bench press with dumbbells, shoulder press with dumbbells, bicep curls with dumbbells, the tricep extensions, that was the overhead one, with a dumbbell as well, hammer curls, then into the dumbbell bench press and dumbbell skull crushers lying down here, and then finished off with the dumbbell row and the barbell bent over row. So quite a bit more than I usually do today, but I don't know, I was feeling motivated. Kind of feeling a bit more motivated today to do a bit more exercise. Let's have a look at what was that? Should I? Okay, so tomorrow is legs or lower body. So we got a couple of goblet squats, calf raises, deadlifts, more calf raises, leg extension. Oh, I don't like planks. No, thank you. Planks put too much. I feel like planks put too much pressure on my shoulder. I can never get comfortable in a comfortable position. I know people have said, oh, planks are never comfortable, but come on, it's got to be in a position where you're focusing on your abs. You shouldn't be feeling pain in your shoulders. So I've got to get that sorted out. But yeah, that's tomorrow. We just finish up with today. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you. And if you're watching on Kick, thank you. If you're on Kick, I apologize. I don't watch over there. I watch this YouTube and the Twitch stream. If you're watching on Kick, I'm sorry if I missed your messages. Kick's just one of those incidental ones, I guess. Come over to Twitch or YouTube. That's much better. Anyway, thank you for watching. I might be, if I feel like I'll be back tomorrow with the legs. Alrighty, good night.